News. The New York Times. All of them today and in previous days are writing multiple stories misrepresenting what Infowars.com is reporting. And they are misrepresenting what the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, is saying. They are misrepresenting what Ted Cruz, Texas senator, is saying. They're misrepresenting what Congressman Louis Gohmert of Texas is saying. Because this is all they can do is misrepresent and run dirty tricks. They can't have a square, upfront debate with the people. And quite frankly, I'm just tired of it. Number one, we're going to break down the deception of this week with George Stephanopoulos, the former Clinton chief of staff. I mean, need I say more? When we come back after this break. But they called us on Tuesday, and they said to my producer, yeah, we want to get Alex Jones on live. And I said to Nico, I said, agree to it, but say only live. We have all the emails right here. And I said, but watch. I said, prepare yourself, because by Friday, they're going to say, oh, sorry, it's taped. Then I said, when we refuse to do it, they're going to ask us if we're afraid. They did all that. Nico, who's worked here about 3 years, though, but now runs a lot of the setting me up for media interviews, he said, I can't believe they did exactly what you said they do. Because I've been doing this 20 years. I mean, I was on ABC News, CBS News. I was on Good Morning America like 18 years ago. I've been on The View. I've been on Fox 20-something times, CNN 20-something times. I mean, you name it, I've done it. And they just want to claim they tried to interview you as a prop. And I said, there's a chance they're going to, like, not have the car show up right or whatever to pick me up, because they demand to send a car for their guests as if you're under their control. Saw people on the InfoWars comments saying, why'd you want a car, Mr. Fancy Pants? That's what they do, so they have the guests, you know, in their hands. It actually makes sense if somebody's flown to New York to be on some show, and New York's a big city, you send basically a taxi cab to get them, a black taxi cab. Proto-Uber. Early Uber-type system they've had for 50 years. And it's not about Alex Jones. You know, this show, I don't want to make it about me and what's happened to me. But what's happening to us is a microcosm and a roadmap, a textbook to understand the different dirty tricks these people are basically running. So then Saturday, my producer calls me, Nico Acosta, and he says, yeah, sure enough, they want you to show up at 6:15 there to tape something for a 9 o'clock show. And I said, no, it's a 5-minute segment. They're just doing that to mess with me. This has happened probably 30 times over the years. They will end up just getting me up early to mess with me. This is the kind of dirty tricks they run. And then never airing it or canceling when I get there to the studio, the satellite studio. That's a favorite tactic of CNN. They've done that to me probably 7, 8 times, but not in the last 10 years or so, because I just refuse to be part of it. You notice I was in studio live with Piers Morgan. And sure enough, I get up this morning, I'm walking around in my robe, cooking, you know, breakfast for the kids and stuff. And I'd even stayed in town so that I could be closer to the studio. I live outside town most of the time. And 12 minutes before airtime, before 9 a.m., when it's live, they call and go, there's a car downstairs. All so they could say I chickened out and didn't show up. I mean, this is the type of theater these people engage in. Well, by about 10 a.m. today, Central Standard Time, we're live on this Sunday edition, already the 10th day of May, 2015. I was getting tweets popping up on my iPhone. My phone rang. Joe Beggs called. I had some family call, and they were asking, why didn't you show up for This Week with George Stephanopoulos? Is it true you chickened out? And I went, no. We were in negotiations with him for me to come on, But they changed the deal, so we told them yesterday that we weren't sure we were going to do it. We have the emails until they got back with us, and they didn't get back with us. So I didn't go on. And this is not about Infowars.com. It's not about Alex Jones. It's not about a talk show host that sits there like most of them do and just talk about myself all day. This is an example of media manipulation and deception and what they do to good political candidates, muckrakers, investigative journalists, and others. Remember the CBS News reporter that exposed Fast and Furious, investigative journalist, so they fired her? Or the other journalist at ABC News that was exposing what was happening with the IRS persecution, so they fired him. I mean, this is what they do. There's a war on journalists. There's a war on whistleblowers, and everybody knows about it. A month ago, the president of the Associated Press came out and said, never in modern history has there been such a war on free speech in this country and such a war on journalism. And whether this week with Stephanopoulos, the former Clinton chief of staff, I mean, talk about deceptive. That is like Pinocchio's archetype. You need to just understand that all these people can do is deceive. So, long story short, Jade Helm is being called a firestorm by the Financial Times of London, the LA Times, the New York Times. It is a huge moment where states stop trusting the federal government because the federal government is basically run by special interest. Eisenhower said, beware the military-industrial complex. Whether sought or unsought, you need to understand that it's taking over. He was a top general, patriot, Republican president. And when I was going to go on this week with Stephanopoulos today, I was going to start with a quote by Eisenhower. And I'd even memorized the exact quote. You guys put it on screen. As of yesterday, I actually had it printed up and had read it 10 or 15 times to get the full 3-paragraph quote together. We must beware the influence, whether sought or unsought, of the military-industrial complex. And then he went into why. And so I was going to start with this 3-paragraph quote and just say, please let me speak. Everyone knows we're turning into a police state. There's a national debate about militarization of police. And I was going to hold up Forbes and Reuters and Army Times with headlines about the Army preparing to take on gun owners, veterans, and the Tea Party in the headlines. How the Pentagon would crush the Tea Party. I mean, I always have exhibits, and they know that. So even if I got 1 minute, I was going to quote Eisenhower, and I was going to hold up articles and say, this is why we're concerned. And we're not against the rank-and-file military. Stop building a straw man. But I knew. I told my producer when they called and emailed Tuesday. He said, hey, this week wants you on. And I said, listen, I'm not going to do it. I don't even want to respond because this is what's going to happen, Nico. They're going to wait till Friday. We're going to demand it be live. They're going to say, of course it's live. Then they're going to say, so that in case there's any satellite problems, which are less than 1% out of 1,000, it's just totally made up. It's more than, I mean, less than 1% out of 1,000. It's just, you might have seconds of down satellite time in a feed a month. I mean, it's just, do the math. I said, then Friday they'll say, because in case there's satellite problems, we want to tape it Saturday or Sunday. And then sure enough, he calls me Friday night. Yeah, they just emailed and called. They want to tape it. And I said, next, they're going to say it's not 10 minutes, it's not 5 minutes, it's 2 minutes. And then, of course, he's on the phone with them. They start telling him that. And I said, they'll probably just get me at, say, 5 or 6 in the morning to harass me, drive me into town. This has happened to me just total more than 20 times with all the networks, like 8 or 9 times or something with CNN. I mean, to the point of I just won't respond to CNN. I've been flown to New York City and canceled on CNN and Fox News. Okay, I just don't do it anymore. But then some of the times I refuse and they go on the air and go, he's chicken, he won't come on. Well, I can't live on airplanes flying for you to cancel me where you play your little games. I won't do it. I mean, I'm the narrator on 2 or 3 Discovery Channel shows, history shows right now. What's incredible is I don't even watch the shows I'm on. Everybody tells me about them. I mean, I did go into the interviews. I've got a syndicated radio show. I've got millions of readers a day. I make documentary films that get seen 30, 40, 50 million times a piece. I don't need This Week on ABC because all you're going to do is distort whatever I've said. So I only do it live. This is a microcosm of their deception. We're going to play the piece coming up. It's like 6 minutes long to analyze it. They had a guest host today. And so Nico calls me yesterday. I'm out shooting firearms. I'm out shooting the incredible head-down vigilance gun. It translates out of Latin into vigilance, or to win before. And I'm out there shooting these amazing firearms with Joe Biggs and Shane Steyer and the rest of the crew. And he calls me about 2 o'clock. The Provictus is what I was shooting. I was shooting 2 different variants of that. And he goes, yeah, they want you up to be picked up at 6:15 for an 8 o'clock taping. And I said, that's insane. It takes 30 minutes to get into the studio. I'm not going to do it. Just tell them no. In fact, live or nothing, like we agreed last Tuesday. Those emails are all sent. I have them right here on screen for TV viewers. I'll show you the emails coming back in the next segment. And then we never hear from them. Next, 12 minutes, and there's screenshots in the article at Infowars.com, 12 minutes to 9 when the show goes live. 12 minutes. I have the one text, because they're claiming at like 8:15 they're calling me and texting me. No, they're not. No, there's one text at 8:48. We can show it on screen for TV viewers. 8:48. As you can see, today, sent to your iPhone, your car is at for the studio Neil. And I ended up coming into town, staying downtown with my kids, just so I wouldn't have to drive 30 minutes in and could make sure I'd be there. But I'd set that up days before. I already knew it wasn't going to happen. So this is the hoax they run. Then they go on television and say, I didn't show up. Then they have their minions tweet that I'm afraid. Oh, I'm really afraid. I would love to be put in the arena with you chicken necks. I would love for you to put me anywhere, anytime, live, satellite or in person, with George Stephanopoulos, Bill Clinton, anybody. I mean, I've confronted Hillary, Bill Clinton. I've confronted Janet Reno. I've confronted George Bush. I've been arrested for doing it. I have protested at Fox and their cover-up of 9/11 and the Saudi connection and been arrested and beat up. I mean, all on footage. I've been on The View. That's a big show with like 15 million viewers, not 5 million like the Sunday News Show, which is big. I mean, for imploded mainstream media, it's one of the biggest things left out there. But I got 20 million viewers and listeners a week. I mean, I don't need you. And they were so upset. And they said like 4 or 5 times that I wouldn't show up during the whole panel discussion. We wish we could have asked him this. We wish we could have asked him that. Oh, yeah, right. You wish you could have asked me. As you misrepresent and deceive everybody up there. So you say, no, we're not doing it live, after you promised it'd be live. And by the way, I was still intending to go down there taped, because I was going to have my cousin come, Buckley, who lives downtown, and videotape what really happened. I've done it on CNN before, so that I could show how you edited it. But then we never heard back from you, jackasses. So you go on air and then claim I chickened out. Well, I challenge any live ABC program that's news.
Our thanks to David. Radio talk show host Alex Jones, who, as David said, has been one of the leading proponents of this theory, had agreed to join us this morning, but he did not show up at our studio. So let's
continue with our propaganda. I'm going to play the entire unedited clip coming up here in just a moment. But this is such a prism into every angle of this. You can watch the full clip at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com right now. Dirty tricks, ABC claim of Alex Jones' no-show is a hoax. And again, in just a few minutes, we're going to air the clip from the beginning. Network blames its own screw-up on radio host. Now, that's Paul Watson writing an article today on Sunday, trying to be a journalist, trying to be fair. I've done this hundreds of times. I've been in satellite studios